Jai Hind and welcome to Dev Talks. This is Aadi Sunday Night Live on Firepower. A lot is being talked about firepower around the world, as a matter of fact, because of what is happening in Ukraine and many other places for that matter. Drones, artillery, rockets, missiles. India has been testing a lot. Chinese keep showcasing their stuff, hypersonics, and so many things which have come into the game. We need to try and understand, sift through the entire garbage or the clutter to realize what exactly does India need. And for that, of course, I have with me the best voice in that particular field, Lieutenant General Ravi Shankar. Sir, hello and welcome, because this is going to be a show where a lot of the confusions might just get cleared.
That's a very nice thing. Confusions might get cleared. Anyway, good evening to everyone on a Sunday evening. I don't know whether I'll clear confusions or create more confusion. That's a different story. I don't know whether I'm the best mind in, firepower or not. That's also a different story. Okay. But let me tell you, after having spent, 4 decades with artillery, I know something about artillery. Uh, It'll be my pleasure to share my ideas with all of you. And I come here with a blank mind today. I'm not prepared. I don't know what I'm going to talk of. Okay. Uh, so you have to get whatever you want out of me today.
Fair enough. Let's start, sir.
Yeah.
Um, sir, first thing first, we are seeing a pretty nice display. I mean, nice in a study sort of a sense. Uh, of firepower in terms of medium or long range, as you look at it, into Ukraine by the Russians. And leaving the war aside, talking about the firepower systems itself, that's something quite impressive that he's able to project that kind of force right down to the western edge at a very long range, this thing, and with precision. How do you look at this, the firepower and the precision aspect of it, sir?
Well, yeah, that's okay for a opening gambit. I'd like to modify it a bit. Your question itself.
Sure.
It's not only Russia. I put it at Ukraine also.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Both ways.
So the first and foremost thing is in this war, uh, you just seen firepower being used imaginatively by both sides with different results.
Hmm.
Okay, different volumes. Okay, so I think uh, precision has added an edge to the value of firepower. Right. Most importantly, you have seen in this battle, in this entire war, 4 5 things about the use of firepower. First, it this war has actually torn apart the fact that artillery or firepower is a supporting system.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, which needs to be taken out of the thing. Second, the artillery has or firepower, both, whichever way you will, is basically a political tool.
Mhm.
It has been used more as a political tool to convey intent to at macro levels,
Strategic levels.
strategic levels, strategic signaling. It hypersonic, supersonic, subsonic, and nuclear have been played interchangeably.
True, true,
You know,
absolutely.
when you spoke of artillery or firepower as a supporting system, you didn't have these capabilities.
Hmm.
Now that these capabilities have come, artillery is a political tool. In fact, it is the most political tool of war today. Okay, uh, and you need to use these systems interchangeably. No one system will work. Then the fact is that you need a great integration of the sensor and the shooter. The sensor, by popular imagination, is the drone today. But one has to look beyond this. If you have to look, you have to hit 300 400 kilometers beyond. You need something else. You need someone either up in the sky or down in the ground. When I say up in the sky, in the space. So you need
Space.
an integration of space, aerial, ground based, intelligence, which I call sensor. And you have to integrate the sensing systems with the firepower systems, which
Hmm.
the Russians call it the reconnaissance strike complex,
Okay.
right?
Hmm.
So that has come into play. There are holes in this thinking, both sides, uh, Ukrainian and Russian.
Hmm.
So they, right. Then there's an approach to firepower. So the Russians have used firepower strategically. The Ukrainians have used tactically and operationally.
Hmm.
Both have done, their approaches have been different. I remember an article by Snehesh Alex Phillips in print where he said the god of war has failed. I mean, I'll put it the other way around. It's the Russians and the Ukrainians have failed the god of war at times. Okay. That's the thing. It's not that the god has failed, it is the people who have failed the god. You still see Russia, the artillery dominating the battlefield.
Oh yes. Hmm.
Okay. The next thing is while both Russia and Ukraine have integrated major elements of firepower, they have not brought air into it. So that integration of all kinds of firepower is missing in this battlefield. Okay. For why they have not been able to do it is a different story. But if you do not integrate that, that
Gives
aerial
you a lesson
firepower,
of, yeah. Hmm.
right? Aerial firepower, there is something wrong in your something will go wrong and you will not get the results which otherwise you
Desired
would.
results.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that is evident on the battlefield. Okay. Then there's a fundamental story. The battlefield is dominated by two words. Operations are dominated by two words. And these words are fire and move. Two words. If you can do fire and move, you win. You don't do, you lose. You look at Kiev, the operations towards Kiev, the Russian forces moved, didn't fire. Okay. Today in the east, they're firing and not moving. Whenever the Ukrainians have fired and moved, they've got success. So, so that's the fundamental. I am giving it to you as simple as that. Okay. Then you need it still remains whether firepower is dominated in the battlefield. There's no doubt about it. But still, it's an integrated battle. I don't see that integration between artillery and the mech forces and the infantry. These three elements, unless they are integrated, you don't achieve results.
Critical. Absolutely, yes, sir.
Surprisingly, I wouldn't say surprisingly, very logically, whatever Ukraine has gained in the past few days, or whatever it has done defensively over the past few months, is because of the fact that they've been able to thread this integration. They don't have an air force, we know that. They're only relying on the a combined battles, combined team approach, and they're winning wherever it is. When I say winning, one has to see that a,
Absolutely.
a force which is completely outmatched is holding its own defensively and gaining offensively in a few places. It's a matter of relative issue. It's the cost for value, bang for buck kind of a approach. So you need integration, you need fire, you need move. We need to understand that everyone has a place in the battlefield. There is no one system which, you know, is going to give you the winning edge unless supported by the other systems. Okay, the Russians have failed the god of war. The Ukrainians have not. I'll put it this way. Okay, so you're seeing a predominantly firepower based battle, devoid of move, where move has taken place, where the integration and the combined arms approach has taken place, you've seen progress on the battlefield, right?
Which is what the Russians did initially when they
Yeah,
started
so they,
hard and they came forward. And
yeah, but then, only time when the Russians have actually done this combined arms battle thing was in the during the Donbass offensive in the initial stages. After that, they,
initially, Donbass in the southern Kherson and
yeah,
all that.
yeah. After that, they lost it.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are my views. Anything more, we can take it forward.
But, as far as see, I in this war, one thing, another thing that I've seen is critical aspersions on very critical military systems have been made. Uh, in this channel, we've discussed the aspersions that were made on mech forces as well. Now the question is being asked, as you mentioned, a lot of people have, written about it, and some other people have written about it. There was an article in the New York Times as well. The question is about the systems. The question is about the variability of the systems, and probably of course, because of the lack of a doctrine, or as you're saying, fire and move sort of a game, the results which are coming out of the firepower that is being used in that war is being questioned as the end of an era, sort of a thing. Why is that? And is that correct?
Look, I've told you, the Russians, in my opinion, have gone off because they have relied too much on firepower and firepower alone. They have not combined the fire and move pattern, uh, which I wouldn't say fire and move. They've the basic two elements of warfare. They've not moved. They only fired. Only firing will not give you results. Okay, they have concentrated on the long and the depth, range engagements. But what about the near engagements? What about the traditional way of employing artillery, the hardcore way of employing artillery? What about simultaneity? Simultaneity still remains relevant in battlefields. What about non-linear application? The battlefield is a matter of time and space. What you engage at what time, in what space, and what results you expect out of it is important. I don't see that design in the Russian way of doing things. Right? They might have a design. I'm not saying, but is that design giving you results?
At the moment, no.
At the moment, no. Okay. So that issue is lacking. When it comes to the Ukrainians have been able to do all this well, but they lack the basic wherewithal. They lack the basic training. For example, there are reports. In fact, you refer to the New York Times article which says the M777 barrels are getting worn out. Why are they getting worn out? Let me ask you that question. So, are people just pooping off ammunition from that? And the
You
barrels
never
are getting so hot. No, that these are the things which can happen. The barrels are getting so hot and getting warped.
know. Desperation of the situation.
Yeah, are they not? You see, if you the thing is that if you have a lesser number of artillery pieces and more ammunition at your disposal, you would like to fire more from that gun. If you fire more from that gun will get heated and it'll have problems. The guns have to be, it's a machine at the end of the day. Okay, that is one. The second is, are they being maintained well? If they're not being maintained well and they're not being rested well, you will have these problems.
Sir, but sorry, are they suited for that muddy, rugged?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. The barrel doesn't go into the mud when you fire. You clean the barrel, you maintain the barrel, you maintain, and mind you, you're talking of a weapon which has served the U.S. Armed Forces very well in Afghanistan.
So maintenance. I mean,
Maintenance and handling. Are you
hmm,
firing greater charges always? See that the thing is that you want to. One of the things which people don't understand, this is very important, is that you want to fire at max range.
yeah,
Battles are
always.
not fired at max range. The guns are not ever all designed to fire at max range. If you fire a gun at max range, you're firing. There are two things you're doing. You're straining your logistic systems because you need more charges, and you're straining the barrel of the gun because the wear on the gun is hell of a lot, and you finish off. You poop off. You're pooping off them. Artillery is just not about reaching out in the to the far end. Artillery is about getting the guns at the right place with the right ammunition, doing the right thing.
at
If
the right
you
time.
at the right time, and if you don't have the right, precision, you spoke of, if you're not able to affect the target well, you have to fire more rounds.
Mm.
Where, see, my problem with the Indian system, when we hived off the UAVs from artillery, is this: it makes you blind, and if artillery fires blind, and you're going to then work on the theory of probability to destroy the target, okay, that you fire more rounds, one round will eventually fall on the target and destroy the target. Then you fired 10 rounds where you could have done the whole thing with 2 rounds or 1 round,
Mm.
which means you have strained your logistics system, you have strained the guns. Is Ukraine doing that? Then the other swing goes, you need precision systems. Now, precision systems are pretty costly, they're
Very.
fragile, and they're quirky. वो कभी काम करते हैं, कभी काम नहीं करते. I mean, I can vouch for, irrespective whether it is bonus round or PGK or Krasnopol or laser guided or this guided or this guided. They're all something which you cannot rely on battlefield. You have to take them with a pinch of salt, right? But even if you take them with a pinch of salt, they will work. So if you make them work, and you have to make them work, it is just not that you have it and you do what you want. You have to work hard on it. Then they save you ammunition and they save you barrel life. Okay. But is it a one size fits all? No. There are times when you use precision ammunition, there are times when you use dumb ammunition. So I think with the Ukrainians, they just used what they've got because they had nothing more. And that is why you find the problems on the Ukrainian side. There are different problems with the Ukrainians. It's borrowed artillery. They don't understand that artillery. They don't understand how to use it.
Yeah, yeah. And they're probably taking in spaces where it is not supposed to go or
No, no, we
something.
don't. That I'll not comment.
I mean, you don't know.
I don't know. But my gut feeling is when you handle any equipment which you don't understand well, you will have problems.
Absolutely. I think that's a very, I think that's a very ground point that you put across
Yeah.
here.
So these are my major things why how people are going wrong. Unless you mate artillery into your overall scheme of things, you will have problems.
So another big thing that I want to ask you about, and this is apart from the Ukrainian and the Russian aspect of it, but one thing that we see is the concentration of across the world on, and we've discussed this before in terms of not the the towed artillery and this and that, but the concentration on firepower in terms of range.
Yeah.
Now, range is coming out to be like the previously it used to be, let me just say this, previously destructive content. Today it is range and precision.
Well,
Would
the
you like to correct me or do you agree with me, sir?
uh, see, extended ranges and precision are the two new dimensions of artillery.
So,
And this is the quest for range and precision has been eternal in artillery right from day one. When guns were introduced, came on the battlefield, you wanted to engage the enemy at standoff. Completely agree. This is a trend which will continue to increase.
okay. Hmm. Yeah.
Okay, but there are limits at to which, say, standard guns, tubed artillery, can reach out. Now, beyond that, if you reach out, the gun won't be able to reach out. You need to modify that ammunition. So the extending range beyond a point, say about 30-40 kilometers, beyond that normal ammunition can't go, irrespective of what you do. It has reached its technological limit. Now, beyond that, if you want to do, you have to improve your ammunition technology, and that's what I've written. Like ramjet, precision. Now, if you extend the range, you become imprecise. So you have to get precision. How do you
Hmm.
get precision? The standard thinking of precision is भाई उसके अंदर एक जीपीएस फिट कर दो, ये कर दो, वो कर दो, फायर कर दो, वो अपने आप टारगेट के ऊपर जाएगा. It doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. That's the most foolish way of doing things and the most costly way of doing things. वो बेवकूफ हैं, only idiots will think of these answers. And there are a lot of idiots in this world who think of this.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm being very, very, very caustic about it, and I've written about it. There are many methods of achieving precision, and there are low-cost options of achieving precision.
Okay.
There are low-cost options of achieving range also. We have to exploit those. Tomorrow's battlefield, in our context, if we have to sort out PLA, and I am very focused how to sort out PLA.
Yeah. So let's now come to
Okay, you
yes.
need to use these various varied methods. I feel that you have to unhinge PLA because the PLA is thinking linear in a linear fashion. If you see the doctrines which are available, doctrinal documents which are available on the net, Rand has done a very good study about the PLA doctrines. I, in fact, used it in one of our series which we discussed. Okay, about the PLA, and I wrote about it also. They lay lot of emphasis on firepower. They lay a lot of emphasis on intelligization of battlefield. That's what Xi Jinping wants them to do. AI,
Mm,
Shake, and all that.
mm, mm,
But it is linear thinking, right? And you need to do something to break this linear thinking. And this linear thinking will come through simultaneity and non-linearity and multiplicity of the ways you achieve range and precision, which I'm trying to tell people invest in that. Don't invest just in range. If you see the, I mean, I'm impressed by the way Ukrainians have handled artillery. Even if they're short of it and it is borrowed artillery, they don't have a doctrinal principle, but by the way they've applied firepower on ground, I think there are a lot of lessons for us to learn, right? And we need to think differently, and we need to think in the context of terrain. We've discussed about the terrain in Tibet. The terrain in Tibet and the terrain in Ukraine is far different. You're not going to have
flat open fields.
you have very little infrastructure. But what little infrastructure is there is critical. So that's a so your approach has to be different. The roads are minimal. So the roads themselves become choke points. Movement will be with difficult. Time and space equations in the mountains will be different. You think that the battlefield is static because of Himalayas, but it can be very mobile. How do you make it mobile? Okay. How do you handle logistics? And if you deconstruct the way PLA does things, you can actually design the battlefield and surgically uh, decapacitate PLA. I'm convinced about it.
Hmm. That's what my next question was. I wanted to prod you a little more on this particular aspect, but the main thing which I guess a lot of people do before we get into that, sir, and I'm going to just ask you to give us a 2 minute lesson on comparatives. When you look at something happening, for example, there's a drone attack somewhere. Everybody says, "Oh, drone, 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 future, this, that, ye, wo, and all that." Now we are seeing rocket missile, ye, wo, and all that stuff. It's the comparative of two situations is kind of confusing the whole lot of people. I think we need to come back to a place where we are talking about India and Indian systems and Indian requirements
Yeah,
rather than so
I
just a
think
lesson on that before we kind of
we have to talk in our context. Okay, let me explain with an example.
so
Okay, let me explain with an example. I understand what you're talking completely, and you need to think in our requirements.
Yaga,
Yeah.
Vani.
For example, there are a lot of news which is coming out that China has employed long range vectors, hmm? long range artillery. So, what will that long range artillery do? Long range rocket, 300 kilometers. If that fellow is going to be 300 kilometers behind, he'll be out of your reach, but he'll be barely able to manage and hit your front line. No? What's the use of the 300 kilometers unless he comes well into forward? For example, let me take a live example. Let's say they want to target Leh.
Mm.
Okay. To target Leh with a 300-kilometer, uh, range system, hmm, they have to come within 40 to 50 kilometers of the LAC. Otherwise, they don't target Leh.
Okay.
Okay.
They're in artillery fire then.
Yeah. So yeah. So this is where you come. That means, I mean, how do you deconstruct this even further? Oh, my grandson is coming and distracting me. He's a baby. Sorry, right? He's my
Oh,
small gunner. So right, Chota gunner. He's just about 4 months, 5 months old. So he's done his little grunt and gone with his grandmother. Sorry for this thing,
no
but
worries, sir. Please, please.
to me, he's more attractive than artillery. Okay. But then let me get back to this. So they
Sir,
have to come within 50 kilometers of the LAC.
Ji.
What is the procedure involved in this? You have to understand this. The procedure involved is from some base, they have to come loaded to a point, and there they have to do a certain amount of actions from preparation. There are technical actions and there are tactical actions. Then they have to come into a firing position. And once they come into a firing position, then they have to fire. After having to fire, they have to get back. Okay. And they have to scoot back to a hide. It's a process, it's a time consuming process. If you see the time and space equations in high altitudes, you can't go through more than 2 or 3 cycles in a 24-hour cycle. So he's got only 3 to 4 engagements in a day. Max. Okay. Because he has to go reload, ammunition hoga, you have to put a 1,000 kg kind of a stuff on this launcher. It's a tedious process.
Mm. You need those
Yeah.
loaders.
Now, so if you say okay, 50 kilometers, he has to come, you can actually identify where this fellow is going to come and deploy. Actually, you can. It's not rocket science. Now, once you know where he's going to come and deploy, okay, so you know where he's going to go and prepare, where he's going to start, which route is he going to follow. So far, so good. He can't go out once he comes. And then when you fire this 300-kilometer behemoth, he'll leave a long trail behind. You
Yeah.
look at that trail and you know, I mean, you have to understand this in battlefield conditions. You look at that trail from even 20 kilometers away and you know where this chap is firing from. He can fire once and get destroyed after that.
The
He
rest
can't, he
and
has to get out of that place, no?
absolutely.
So
Mm.
you should be prepared to take that and be waiting, finish him off. Once you finish off once or twice or make life difficult for him,
Will not come again.
he'll not come again. And if you know how you're going to handle him, he will hesitate to use his firepower the way he is now postulating. Then you'll ask me the question: if he can do it, you can do it to him. He can do it to you also. No, ये तो गुरु मंत्र है. Why should I tell you how I am going to offset that? That I will tell people who matter how to
आप बता
offset
के
it.
बोलता ना ये ले पानी पी ले और वापस ले लिया फिर वापस.
I'm not going to tell you that, but I
Yeah.
know how to do it.
Mm.
Now it's up to the Chinese to believe me or not. They can test. They can test the Indian artillery and then get had. I'm using the word had.
I wish they were
And
playing with.
they, no, they don't need, look, they don't need to believe me at all. I might be doing, क्या बोलते हैं, influence ops and psychological warfare and false warfare, all that nonsense. है ना? It's possible that some idiot will think that the government of India is using this misguided missile to talk all nonsense and it's all fake. But I'll still go ahead with it. Thank
No, sir.
you.
See,
No, no,
the
I'm not finished. Thank
sir,
you. Don't believe me. Don't believe Adi Achint. Both Adi Achint and General Shankar are idiots. Taken. Ask Pakistanis.
yeah, Kargil.
Ask Pakistanis. Pakistani writing tells that the way India used its artillery, they didn't even understand what was happening, and when they came to realize they had lost Kargil.
I've read accounts of being hit by direct fire of grads and
देखो भाई, that's why I said artillery is a potent weapon system if you know how to use it imaginatively. That is why it's called the god of war. The Indian god of war has not failed India ever. It won Kargil for India. The
a lot
Russian
more.
god of war has failed Russia in Ukraine because the Russians didn't know how to use it. The Ukrainians have used this god of war well so far, but it is failing them because they don't understand this god. They're using the god without understanding it beyond a point. I don't think we have this problem.
Mm. So that's what I'm saying. I want to, discuss this one very interesting thing that you put across right now. And of course, I'm not going to even question you on what our game will be against China, but it tells you one simple thing that uh, the entire, we fall for this whole narrative of long range
Yeah,
firepower
yeah.
that's put across because
कहानी है.
good. It looks damn good, those big missiles and those big guns and those rocket videos, and it looks damn good. So you kind of, plus the destructive impact of it kind of takes in people. How would you kind of, break the myth of that entire thing and put it across? Because a lot of the stuff that happens is not even seen by people. I mean,
See,
probably the counter battery fire that we would be able to do will not be. People won't know how that works. So how would you kind of
yeah,
break
people
that
don't.
with?
It's not a matter of people not seeing. People can't even imagine it.
Exactly.
Look, you have to be in battle. You have to have handled the artillery. You have to be a hardcore professional to understand it. it. This is not a WhatsApp university where you see a few photos and say, okay, oh, this gun is good. We should buy that. That gun is good. Why we don't have it? It doesn't matter what you have. It doesn't matter how what you don't have. It matters what you. It matters how you use what you have. That's more important. You need to have the confidence that you defeated a army conclusively using firepower. There's no other nation, there's no other nation which has done this in the world. Has Russia done it? No, it's not done. Has Ukraine done it? No, it is not done. Has USA done it? No, it is not done.
They tried it.
They
They
tried it.
couldn't happen. It didn't happen.
For all what I'm telling you, you see the way Pakistanis used their guns in the first phase of Kargil war. I thought it was outstanding. Outstanding. Let me tell you, they unhinged us completely. Zero. We were reduced to being moving on National Highway 1A at night only. This is historic. Why? They did the unimaginable. They used mobile phones for control of fire. They used infiltrators for control of fire. They brought guns up to the LAC, right? Which we never expected. And guns which could not have otherwise gone to the where they went. Old 5.5-inch howitzers of Second World War vintage, we couldn't fire in high angle, which were thought to be useless in high altitude. They brought it up and fired, and they destroyed the Kargil ammunition dump. This is history. I'm not talking anything of this thing. I thought it was brilliant, and I'm now talking. say
We are
20 years
studying
down the
the, yeah,
line, as
yeah,
as a study, I thought it was brilliant. Where did they lose it? They didn't think of it beyond a point.
second phase.
Second phase. I mean, Pakistan army, like I've told you before, is a first half army. They do everything first half fantastic. Second half वो हार जाते हैं.
The presumptions of the other side are useless.
Yeah, वो बस they don't think beyond a point. Okay. So the point is that they used it. So the use of artillery has to be imaginative. Use of firepower has to be imaginative. It has to be surgical. You need to hit it at a point where it pays results. And you have to convert this political orientation of newfound political orientation of artillery into a outcome. When I don't see the outcome, then it's a waste of time.
Hmm. Absolutely.
I thought in the first half of the Ukraine war, they used artillery and firepower fantastic Russians. I mean, I had no doubt about it. But like I told you, they fired and didn't move.
Hmm.
Period.
So the tactical advantage was lost.
You see, Kargil. Kargil was all about fire and move. We fired, infantry moved.
True. Absolutely.
It was not a one-off affair. It was not one. Initially, we lost in Kargil because we only moved and didn't fire. We were more on movement than fire. Okay, we didn't have, and we suffered a lot of casualties. When we combined fire and move, end of story. Okay, and you used firepower innovatively. So, how innovatively we use our firepower against the PLA will ensure whether we will win or not.
Indeed. It's not the quantity, but it's how
How
the
you use it,
impact of it that matters.
how you use it. I thought Ukraine has done well, but that's like I said. I'm not going to transpose that equation to us. We, for sure, know our equipment well. We know our terrain well, and history has shown that we are quite innovative. You have to use all forms of firepower. It is just not tube artillery. It is not short range artillery. It's not long range artillery. It's not rocket artillery. You have to use all forms, and you have to use artillery in conjunction with infantry in high altitude.
So
And you have to use artillery to generate maneuver and deny maneuver. I mean, so many things which I've written in my series on artillery. At the end of this, when you release this, please give a thing to that gunner shot series on artillery.
link. Sure.
Yeah,
No worries. Guys, I have just one last question for the general, and I'd recommend please start. I mean, there are loads of questions, and this thing have
yeah,
come.
yeah. No
But
problem.
let's keep it away from the Russia-Ukraine context and the tactical aspect of it. What we're trying to understand is artillery, because I'm going to try and get Sir for another talk on this subject, because we've kind of come to 40 minutes, and you know, I also want to discuss what we should do in the future,
Okay,
and that's
that
going to
will
be a,
do next.
yeah,
Yeah,
next firepower discussion. Today we are
yeah,
trying to basically just wield our head through to understand the basics,
yeah.
and couple of basics that have come through very clearly, that it's the timing, it's the advantage, fire and move. It's about how you employ what you have rather than dream of what you don't have and stuff like that. So of course, one big lesson, of course, artillery has now become a strategic weapon. So that's something that we've learned today. So guys, please, let's keep it on the firepower aspect of it, artillery, rockets. Let's kind of focus on that and ask questions. So my last question to you is, we see the Pinaka being exported today, and this is a purely Indian discussion. I'm just leaving a teaser for the next time for our viewers. So, how does it impact the Indian defense industry apart from the economics of it? I'm talking about the capability. I'm talking about developments. I'm talking about our own use. I mean, how does it kind of?
Oh well, I think you touched a huge subject, Adi, and I must thank you for it. I was a major. I want to highlight this. I was a major when I was posted to Project Prithvi and Pinaka. Okay. Uh, and when was this? 1988.
So,
Today, when I see Pinaka being exported, it's an era which has gone past 35 years. Okay. It's taken us 35 years from the drawing board to export stage. What has it done? It has put you on the world map of export, being able to export a full system. Now uh, conflate it with the export of Pinaka and BrahMos. What does it tell you? You are looking at an indigenous artillery capability. It is huge. Economics, the scale. If I can buy a Pinaka for $1, I'll sell it for $10. That's what everyone has been doing, so we'll do it.
hmm,
And it gives you the ability to upgrade, because when you export, some money will get plowed back into your system. It gives you additional research, it gives you additional thing, and it makes this weapon system more potent, and it gives you the ability to think and develop more. So there's economics, there's R&D, there is infrastructure, there is image, there is confidence. There is confidence for the private players. And incidentally, Pinaka, when we started, was a normal to and fro movement between the army and the DRDO. And soon, I'm talking of even Prithvi for that matter. Soon, as far as Pinaka was concerned, we co-opted L&T and Tatas into it. So now the success of Pinaka rubs off on DRDO, it rubs off on L&T, it rubs off on Tatas. And then there are tier 2 and tier 3 people. So the industry has a filtered down benefit.
hmm.
Okay. And it gives you fantastic capability.
Plus
Okay.
production capacity. Hmm.
Production capacities. You right. It enables, say, these two megas, L&T and Tata, to look at other systems also. Confidence.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Hmm.
So there's a whole packet. In fact, I've written 2, 3 articles on it. What the development of Pinaka means. In fact, I've written an article again. It's on Gunner Shot. If those of you go to the Gunner Shot website, it is at gunnershoot.com, and go to the artillery part of it. All these articles are there on artillery and on Pinaka. Okay, so go and have a look at it, and it's huge. Yeah, I hope I've answered the question.
No, indeed, sir, you've given us a good hint, and that's something which, of course, economics is something that everybody understands. The technical aspect of it, and I think for me, the most important thing is production capacity.
Yeah,
You've added
production, technology, everything. There's a whole big packet involved in this whole story.
you've added upgrades and a whole lot of other things which are critical. But
And it's
as
all indigenous. The
yeah,
best
yeah,
part is it's indigenous.
yeah, it's done by us. So that's
Yeah.
there's a huge set of advantage. I think there's an ecosystem, if I may
Yes,
just
yes, yes, yes.
summarize it. All right, guys, let's get into the questions with General Shankar, and let's kind of see what you guys have in store for us. And of course, as I said, we will discuss the Indian aspect of it. Of course, when Sir said Ladakh, it kind of rings a bell in all of us, and all of us want to read the war doctrine that the Indian Army has written for us, but that's not possible. But I guess there is there is something that we can learn about the system and try and see if we use ourselves and try and
Yeah.
see if we can figure it out. Right. So that's something something really interesting. Uh, sir, please tell us that India is working on some future military technology, at least one. Uh, I don't want to say anything about that, but sir, I know sir is doing something.
Yeah, yeah.
Something.
I've written about it. It's an article in the print. I've spoken of ramjets. We are into developing ramjets and associated technologies with it. So we are.
So what
And
about high energy laser weapons? Can we? Is
what? Look, we don't. Again, we should not think of unnecessarily too much technology on the battlefield. Someone must be working on laser weapons. Laser weapons, let me tell you, are still aspirational. Don't lasers have their problems. You need power. The fundamental problem of a laser weapon system is power. Okay, so you don't have that kind of energy on the battlefield. So there's
unless
it's one
unless
generation away. It's
unless one
one
is
gen.
willing.
Unless
transport a
one.
mini nuclear reactor, sir.
Yeah, look, a lot of these thing, high tech systems and all don't work on the battlefield, right? Yeah,
Naveen Sahib, one second. Just thank you so much for this super chat. Thanks again for all the gyan, and please do a part two.
yeah. Thanks. We will.
Thank you, sir. We shall be sure to do that, Naveen Sahib, and we shall also let you know when we do that. Uh, when people look at you and me, everybody talks about China. So I've got two questions from China, which I'm not going to take. But anyways,
ठीक है, whichever.
this is a nice, interesting one. Hearing the okay, sir, I'm going to request you to kind of put this out. This is a little beyond my technical ability, so may I request if you can explain to us first what this question is?
Hearing Indian Army is soon going to buy two KSSL, and I think that is um, Kalyani Steels, ultralight howitzer.
Hmm.
It has Bharat's attack 45, 52 Mark. Look, let me be very fundamentally clear about it. We have the Indian Army has a solid plan for development of artillery, and this plan has not been put in place yesterday or day before yesterday. It was, I told you, I gave you a hint. It was put in place in 1988 when we started developing all these things. There's a perspective plan which we wrote, which we called it the RT Profile 2017, and we wrote this not in 2017. We wrote it at the turn of the century. Uh, just 6-7 years later, we found that we could not. The RT Profile 2017 was had a lot of problems. So we wrote a thing called the RT Profile 2027. In fact, I can vouch for it because I wrote it. Okay, I know what is there in that. Okay, and at that time we didn't have a gun. 2008, when we wrote this, we didn't have a gun being produced in India. We
There you
didn't
go.
have a we didn't have a we didn't have a project which was successful. We were not spoiled for choices. In fact, the articles at that time was, this is a artillery in search of a gun. So we know exactly what we are doing. And if we today come to this level where you find so many people saying, I'll give you this gun, I'll give you that gun, I'll give you this is better, the MGS is better, the Toad gun is better, the SP gun is better, the light gun is better. We know exactly what is happening. Okay? I know exactly what the story is of each gun which is being shown on the on glossies. I can give you the best parts of each gun, the best part of each gun being produced, at least for the Indian thing, and the worst part also. I'm glad that I'm able to do this because we are talking of a system, we are talking of a country which didn't have a gun for 30 years, 40 years. After Bofors, the first gun which entered our service was the M777 and the K9. Look, celebrate the power. If today Bharat Forge can say, I have 4 guns to offer to India, it's huge.
There's so many. I mean,
You see the change.
track of, sir.
Yeah, you see the change. I've visited the Bharat Forge establishment at a time when they didn't have anything. I'm happy that they're successful. I'm happy on many things which has happened to artillery. I'm also happy at the discussion which is taking on social media about what is this, what is that, and all that. But let me tell you, no one will tell you what is being done, right? Neither will I. I will also not tell you.
ये
But
तो मजाक हो
what
गया,
no
sir.
no what I will tell you is based on our requirements. You need a light howitzer, no doubt. You need a towed howitzer, there's no doubt. You need a long range system, there's no doubt. You need a system which is adaptable to the mountains, there's no doubt. You need a mobile system which is adaptable to the deserts, There's no doubt. You need a mobile system which is adaptable to the high altitude. I've already recounted 6 types of guns. So there's no one size fits all for India. You need different sizes for different things. See,
Yes.
that's the difference between what's happening in Ukraine and what we're going to do.
Mm, mm.
We're going to have terrain specific artillery. This is the philosophy. I'm not talking of philosophy. I'm not talking of a particular gun. No. Okay. Now you can say 39 caliber, 52 caliber, 45 caliber confusing. It's not confusing to me at all.
Do you not? So to us, it's like,
No, it's not, and you don't need to know. Let me
mm,
put it. There is a level line at which I say there's a need to know principle. But let me give the technicalities. 39 caliber is, see, what is this caliber business? It is the length of the barrel. Okay,
yeah,
the length of the barrel. If you have a 155 39 caliber, it will give you a particular range. 45 caliber gives you additional range. 52 caliber gives you more range. But there you get more range. Now with range comes advantages and disadvantages. The barrel becomes heavy, the barrel becomes longer, the mobility reduces, you need more power to move, the overall weight of the gun increases. So there's a design cycle which gets into effect. Now the
accuracy.
accuracy, that's the second. Okay, that's the second part. Now if you have to exploit this range, you have to take this gun farther up. So mobility comes into effect. So everything in artillery, or for that matter, any system in life, forget artillery, you is a matter of compromises specific to what you need. It's something like buying a car. How much you can afford? Where do you want to use it? How do you want to use it? How big is your family? How far do you want to go to work and back? All these things you take into consideration before you buy a car. Same thing here. But the good thing for us is we have the choices today to buy what we want and use it the way we want. And all this is factored in that little document called the 2017 or 27. In fact, it was factored in 2017, and we are very clear. The artillery and the Indian Army is very clear as to what it is doing.
Indeed. Thank you for that. So I think that's a
And
reassuring.
let me put it. Let me give a. It is that clarity which has enabled us to go into an export regime. If you today you are exporting guns, you are exporting uh,
Talk.
rockets, and you are exporting missiles, you
There's
must
a reason.
understand there's a reason. There's a fundamental clarity of thought. Yeah,
And of course, the products are damn good. So
yeah, that's a damn. There's no doubt.
recently, in an interview, Star News Global DG Artillery said the army will upgrade the Sarang gun. Sir, is Sarang really a potent weapon in today's context? As
Again,
quite
you have to understand why General Tarun Chawla said this. You know, like I said, horses for courses. What is sarang? You have to understand the concept of sarang. We had a whole lot of 130 guns. The barrels were gone, but the guns were okay. The chassis was okay. So you upgraded that 130 gun into a 155 gun. So all you did was you took out the barrel and put a new barrel and used it, and it's bloody cheap. Okay, and it will give you a life of about 15 to 20 years. Okay, and you can use it in certain circumstances. It's not as if you can. The problem with sarang is that it is a low angle affair. You can't use it in high altitude. But what does it allow you? You put those against in the deserts and places in plains and pick up more modern weapon systems and take them into high altitude. So it gives you flexibility. It is a cheap option. It gives you a stopgap capability. And it gives you the capability that you can do upgradation because you're making thinking out of the box. Most importantly, it's Indian. So there is one size doesn't fit all. If you understand each capability which you do, each step you take, and mind you, we are a huge army with a huge requirement of guns. No one system will, fit all.
I mean, older systems, honestly, there's another misconception that older systems are not
No,
that good.
no. देखो बड़ा
Yes,
simple है यार.
older systems
Whether it is old or
are,
new, a shell falling on your head is a shell. It will burst and
yeah.
you'll die. Okay, whether it doesn't know whether it's coming from a new gun or an old gun.
So
So don't be,
AK-47 for that
uh,
matter is a bloody old weapon. अभी भी top line है वो. I mean,
don't go by this thing. I told you at the beginning, the way Pakistanis used artillery in the beginning of Kargil war was outstanding. They used Second World War equipment to, put us on the back foot.
indeed, indeed, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, although this is more of a tactical question, but he has a larger question in play within this with regards to logistics, and I'd like you to, respond to that. He says India lacks the infrastructure, and we are weak in Arunachal. As far as moving 50 kilometers, we need to take around 200 kilometers of road. Logistical supply needs to win the war. What's India's second plan?
Swaroop Sethi should go to Arunachal and see the state of roads there and understand what it is. I'll leave it at that. Uh, you're talking mountain warfare. You think you can't move, he can move. He can also can't move. So yeah, carry on.
Sir, 80 AGS.
Again, this is procedural. I leave it to the people in chair to say when 80 attacks ka order will be given or
And
not.
he's saying Pinaka ka future version.
All this is evolutionary.
Yeah.
Look, be happy that there is a second version or a third version or a fourth version. So all I can say, the four versions of Pinaka under thinking. Two, one is being exported. The second is in our army. The third and fourth are somewhere there. We are looking at it. Be happy that you have four versions to talk of. Why are you bothered when it'll come in? It'll come in at the right time. Don't worry.
Sir.
Yeah.
Is it possible to use drone swarms equipped with ISR radar, like radars in huge
Don't
numbers?
don't give drones that kind of thing. यही से है, सब कुछ हो जाएगा. Drone is not very like Ganpati. It goes where you want. ठीक है ना? The drones are not gods. They have limited value. Use them within the limitations. Every weapon system has a limitation. Okay, and the AECA radar is not the only thing in life. Okay, देखो, we have to understand warfare, and this is something which I heard from a civilian. Look, technology and warfare are at many times cross purposes with each other. If only technology could win war, Americans should have ruled Afghanistan by now. The Taliban was a fourth world force, not even a first world, second world, third world, the chodo. It was a fourth world force which defeated the first world and the most modern army. Hmm?
I'm sorry. Whenever somebody refers to that, the only thing I get is that dialogue somebody had said, "Na chappal पहन के moped पे US को भगा दिया."
बस
This Pakistani say
भगा
that.
दिया.
It always comes to my mind. And
But
yeah,
the Taliban, which is a fourth world force, defeated a first world force. In my way of thinking, they were a first world army. You
mm,
have to think different. So don't get too dazzled by these paper capabilities. When the first bullet starts firing, things change.
yeah,
Okay.
this
Yeah.
true, indeed, sir. Uh, Good evening and greetings to Adi sir and General Saab. Sir, do you see the concept of? How do you see the role of M105 Hawkeye type of mobile artillery in our Indian IBG concept?
यार ये क्या है Hawkeye? I don't know what Hawkeye is.
I thought you
105
might.
Hawkeye, I don't even know. So again, look, sorry for telling you, but this is all imaginary warfare. So leave it. Yeah.
It's a new sir. ये तो नया concept निकाल दिया आपने.
But look, you imagine anything, it's warfare. Yeah?
Yeah, this is I think needs to be written down.
Wars are fought on battle. They're not fought on newspapers. They're not fought on TV channels. They're not fought on YouTube channels like you and I are thinking. They're not fought in social media. They're fought in battle, in ground. It's fought by human beings. Blood flows. It's a dirty place. It's unhygienic.
It's terrible.
Okay. So let's talk of something fundamental. Okay.
Naveen Saab says, what level of analysis? I studied mechanical engineering a decade back at IIT, and you reminded me of my favorite professor there.
Oh, thanks a lot, Naveen. I'm not that. I'm not this thing. I'm a old salt. I'm a old gunner. Okay. Yeah. Who's seen a
Yeah,
lot of gunnery.
he also says that analysis is based show for famous battles. We are going to come up with a
Hey, look.
Kargil war.
Okay, look. We are doing that only. I don't
Yeah.
have maps, but I'm talking of artillery. I'm talking of Kargil. I've spoken of the two facets of Kargil. We have spoken of Ukraine war and Russian war. Yeah, right. Right. Maybe next time I'll explain how Russia has used, that I've documented in a few slides. I will do it. We'll do it in the next thing.
Yes,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
Kargil, of course, is a huge demand. Two people have
Yeah,
said.
we'll do that. We'll do that. Again, I've written an article. Again, it's in Gunner Shot on the how I view Kargil and Ukraine and what are the similarities and dissimilarities in Kargil and Ukraine. A lot of similarities. A lot of similarities between Kargil and Ukraine, how we've used it, and we need to take lessons from both. Okay.
That I think is a very
Why I'm talking of Kargil and Ukraine? Because in the recent past, in the past 20 years, if you've seen wars, which are the main wars which have been fought in
yeah.
the
This
past
has
20?
been the war of firepower, one of the only few. Yes, sir.
Yeah, the two major battles have been Ukraine and Kargil. The rest were not really great battles, or rather,
Yeah,
things where you could draw great lessons from. And these are the two battles where a lot of lessons can be drawn from firepower.
yeah, yeah.
If I know
Exactly.
the Chinese, they must be already pouring over these battles back and forth. Okay. And they have to unhinge themselves mentally if they have to use any of the lessons brought out from here. Okay.
Absolutely. So this is something that, at the start of the war, although with leaving the devastation, and I was excited because this is the first war I'm going to try and see and analyze what is happening,
Yeah.
because the rest of them have been police actions and anti-terrorist actions and stuff like that. So there's not much that you will learn in terms of the study of warfare until unless it happens in front of you. So that's I'm just talking about it as a study aspect. I mean,
Yeah,
what's
I
happening
agree.
is terrible. So there's no question. I'm not getting into the politics of it. Guided artillery is expensive. Unguided may not hit the intended target. What's the justification for using one versus the other?
Yeah,
It's
I
money.
take your point of view, and again, the only explanation I've given it, I've analyzed it in writing on this cost of precision, uh, how you can use precision, achieve precision otherwise. There are various methodologies. All this I've analyzed in an article. I would suggest you read that because I can't give you the answer here. It's a very valid debate. Precision versus dud or dumb. Okay, what's the cost of precision? Go to that series of mine on artillery. Go to my site, go to my website on artillery. I've put it in a lot of detail.
So could it be surmised by? I mean, I'll try and do it in my layman's word. Could it be surmised by a simple word called requirement?
Okay, what we'll do, maybe we'll have a show on precision artillery versus imprecise artillery.
How,
We'll
where?
explore. Yeah, I mean, I understand. A lot of people would be having this issue. Why do you need precision? Why you don't need precision? Both these questions we'll answer.
Because I remember from the first talk, we spoke about a psychological impact of artillery. You might
Yeah,
not
there
be
is.
wanting to kill someone, but you're trying to just bomb them into.
Yeah. There's no doubt.
You don't need
Disor,
precision
you don't
weapons. You
need
just
to.
need something to go and hit.
There's a there are a whole lot of things when you employ artillery, but then it's a fair question to know, and it's a fair question for
Absolutely.
many people to
Absolutely.
understand the
Absolutely.
problem between precision artillery and normal artillery.
Mm.
You need both. How you need, what is the balance you get, etc., etc., etc. I think we will do a
Absolutely.
analysis
Absolutely.
separately.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Mine was just a one aspect of it where I thought about it, the
Yeah,
psychological.
I understand.
There's obviously going to be much more. Uh, Sir, wouldn't producing new guns give a boost to Indian steel industry? May such special alloys can have use for other industries as well.
Yeah, we're doing it. It's happening. I agree with her. We are doing it, and it's happening. Yeah.
Uh, Guys, drones and stuff like that, we can talk in another one because drones is a little outside the parameter, and I don't want to kind of get into. Drones is a very large subject. If you want, we can. I'll try and.
Look, we are running out of time. We'll
Yeah.
finish this,
So
the last question, and
I
then
just have,
maybe next.
yeah, last two questions, sir. Uh, we have, uh, yeah, there it is, sir. No, sorry. Yeah, sorry. What is the laser pyro guidance system in the Pinaka, sir? Now, this is something I wanted to ask you because, and
I
I'm going
didn't
to
know.
leave
I
it.
don't know what's this laser gyro guidance. I don't know.
Okay. Let's talk about the guidance for the last minute. So now, and just as a teaser to the next program of it, guidance would be, of course, expensive, and Excalibur shells and stuff like that we've spoken about in the previous program. But as far as rocket artillery is concerned, sir, how would you kind of,
Look,
put guidance?
again, the farther you go into depth, you need guidance. I mean, they're indisputable. Okay. As you keep increasing range, you need guidance or an alternate to guidance, which is not there at this point of time because people have not thought through that. So you need guidance, and guidance today, while it is complicated for many other issues, you have to understand guidance is available to you on a mobile phone today. So it's not a great thing. There's no thing as laser guidance. Lasers don't guide long range artillery. All right.
Laser
So
guided bombs is a different category drop
no,
from
that's a
air.
different story.
Fast
That's
guide.
a terminal guidance. Laser guidance is a terminal guidance system.
Yes, sir.
Now, how can you do a terminal guidance at 80 kilometers or 90 kilometers in depth? You can. It's not as if you can't do. But that's why I said you need something called a reconnaissance strike complex, which it's a Russian technology. It's very complicated. Are we there? We are not there. Where are we? We are in our own framework for all these things.
Okay.
So right, it needs a very evolved concept to have that kind of a guidance, and let's see where it goes. It's a complicated subject.
So guidance equals precision, and which brings us to the next discussion that we will have on firepower. As sir
We'll do
said,
one on precision only next time.
yeah, precision
Okay.
guidance, and of course the
Yeah,
dud
yeah, we'll do that. Yeah,
bombs
okay,
as they're
we'll do that.
called. I don't call them dud bombs, anything that
Yeah,
explodes.
we'll do that. We'll yeah.
Yeah, so that's another thing. So, but let me tell you, this has been a quite an eye opener because at the end of it, if I may just crassly say it, we busted a lot of myths that fly around the place. Because what happens is when you see an impact on a particular target within Ukraine, or let's say in Saudi or in Yemen or in Syria for that matter right now, it's fantastical to kind of imagine what happens, and
By
you try and put it across to your enemy, sir.
see, New York Time doesn't fight battles.
Yeah, thank God,
Okay,
sir. They'll be throwing
battles.
newspapers.
So we leave it at that, and that's the end of the story. I think we should call it for a day. I have to attend to something
Thank you,
else.
sir. Thank you so much. And before I sign off, guys, please like this video, subscribe, and please check your bell icons. Of course, yes, if you can, please do support the Dev Talks efforts. Sir's website is right here. I'll try and dig out Sir's Firepower series and have it up by tomorrow morning. And of course, uh, please don't forget to check out my website also. It's thedevtalks.com. You can become a member or just send us super stickers using the thanks button. uh, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Naveen, for today's contribution and actually putting in, contributions to some other members as well. So thank you so much. It's heartening to see that you guys support me and in my efforts. Sir, thank you so much
Thank you.
for running me an enlightening session, I must say. I'd like to hear this all day long, as a matter of fact, but we have restricted time and restricted space. So till next time, Jai Hind, sir.
Jai Hind.